Hello, everybody. I hope we have somebody in the house. I don't see any comments, so let's test this out and see if I can get somebody to say something. Okay, I see someone there. Can you guys hear me? Is the sound okay? I can't see far off, but I can see close up. I'm nearsighted. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click on to this live to see if somebody is in here. Yes, we got Brenda Allen in the house. She said, hello, Lady Cheryl and everyone. A Fisher Frontier Farms is in the house. Thank you for being here. H. Tyler is here. Wishing everybody a happy Monday. And A. Fisher is saying, this is the best part of my Monday. Hanging out with fellow gardeners and one of the best teachers in our craft, Lady Cheryl. Oh, thank you so much. I see that At Home with Cherie is telling everybody good evening. We have the lovely Miss Myra McCain in the house, and she's saying God bless everyone. We are under a storm alert, heavy rain, possible 10 inches of snow, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, and we were at 70 yesterday, now down to 40 degrees and dropping. Got to bring those plants back in again in the next hours. It's rough. Presbyterian Gardener is in the house, and she's speaking to everybody, and she's telling Myra McCain to stay safe and hope all is well. And of course, you know, Myra, how I feel about you, so I will be saying a prayer. She said it's cold and it's wet, and I think I may have to sacrifice something. Yeah, sometimes we have to do that. Hey, Salon Diva Home and Garden, good to see you. And we have Grows. Bobby Wilson is here. Maria Graham is in the house, and Dale Homestead is here. Growing with Hudson, thank you so much for being here. Chime Moss family, Grandmama Grows, how you doing? And Everyday Life of an OCD-ish Chick is telling everybody good evening. And Veggie Farm Garden is here. J3GS Farm is in the house. Cassandra Dominique, The Sweet Spot, glad to see you. She says she's listening on her Bluetooth, obviously working in her garden. And I know how that is because I was just doing the same thing. I think I got everybody. So if you all would please do like Maria Graham says and hit that like button. That kind of jiggers the algorithms, I understand. But you never know. Tis Good is here. Thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you. If you're here and you cannot comment, that is because I have my settings set where only subscribers can comment. But you certainly can put a comment after the live is over. If you have a question, I'll do my best to answer it. If it's a long answer, I'll bring it up the following Monday night. Hi, Lorraine T. And she's saying hello to all the gardeners around the world. So give me a 1 if you can hear me okay. If it's clear and you can hear me okay, please give me a 1 while I pull up my notes for this evening. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. First thing I want to say is I got the orders out today. Friday was Good Friday. We had the holiday, so they didn't go out until today. And those of you that ordered seeds that you paid for, I think it was 2 people that ordered the red Texas Star Hibiscus seeds. Your seeds went out today, and everybody's will get a tracking number from where you should have got one from me. And you also get one from the post office, and they were shipped first class retail. Okay, so you'll get an idea when you get your email. You can check it out and you can see when you're going to get it. I didn't send the seeds out, the okra seeds out, yes, because really I didn't have enough. So this is going to be the last call for this month for the seeds. A couple people, I sent them the seeds in their order last week, but I'm going to get those seeds out tomorrow. So if you want the okra Clemson spineless okra, it's my favorite. It's seeds that I've been saving for years. Now, I don't carry the seeds over from 1 year to 2 or 3 years. These seeds are from my garden summer of 2021. And I let the seeds dry inside of the okra pods on the vine. You know how you go and you harvest your okra, and you all let me know if you've ever done this. You can go out there and you can harvest your okra, and they have these real big, beautiful leaves, and sometimes it'll camouflage and hide one. And then you go out the next day and you see a real long one. You're going like, how in the world did that get that long? And that's because you missed it the night before or the day before. And so those are the ones that I let dry on the pod. It is my understanding if you harvest them early, you still will get viable seeds, but you have a higher germination rate if you let them dry naturally on the pod. Remember, you can get some seeds to germinate if you don't let them dry on the plant. But your germination rate is higher if you leave it on the plant. And I know that to be a fact. Okay, but I remember one time I harvested a lot of okra pods before I went on vacation because we were supposed to get a whole lot of rain. This was years ago. And those seeds germinated, but not as well as the ones that dried on the plant. So all of these seeds that I'll be sending out are ones that have dried on the plant. Okay? Hey, LaShawn Black and Karen Witherspoon and Sifting Some Soil and Coffin's Creations, I want to thank you all for being here. Also, at this time, I want to acknowledge my senior citizens, my golden girls. You guys know who they are. Miss Ellen Pankey, Viola Graham, Jean Dudley, Deb Moore, and Deb M. and Joyce Moore. If you have joined any one of my groups, Grow Your Own, and you all know that means food or groceries. It's $2.99 a month. You get seeds every month, and you get a shout out every Monday. You have the opportunity to do that. And then we have for $4.99 a month, Eat Your Own, and that's where you can take a preservation class in addition to your seeds every month and a shout out every week. You can also take one of my food preservation classes. And then for $9.99 a month, it's Make Your Own, and I teach you how to make your own product, how to establish your brand, you know, what you're going to sell, who you're going to market it to, and I teach you how to make all natural and organic products. And those classes are going well. Now, this Sunday, because I was off yesterday because of Easter, this coming Sunday, which will be the 24th, we will have a dehydrating food class. And it is not going to be a practical demonstration. It will be all lecture. And I'll share my dehydrator with you and some other methods that I use for oven or solar dehydrating. But we don't have enough time because it takes hours to dehydrate. So anybody that wants to attend that class, you need to let me know before Friday, please, or Saturday morning at least, and I will send you the code. Now, I have people already signed up. I will send you guys the codes on Wednesday morning. And anybody else that wants to be added to the list, just shoot me an email. I want to attend the dehydrating class. I am in your Eat Your Own Club. Okay, so that class is coming up this Sunday. I'm double checking. My notes say the 24th, but it is actually the 22nd. So I got to correct that in Zoom. And yes, it's a Zoom class. Your camera must be on. And yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. I'm going to show you some snacks that I make for me and for my grand angels that right out of my garden. Okay? All right. The special of the week this week is my creamy body lotion. And you know it has a very high percentage of shea butter. And along with shea butter, you have jojoba oil. And jojoba oil is the closest thing to your natural oil, which is called sebum, S-E-B-U-M. And the next most natural oil that is very much like your own natural oil is grapeseed oil. And so, you know that I have the jojoba oil in here. And it has that very nice fragrance of peace that a lot of my products have. I have a brand, I have an established fragrance, and it has lemongrass, hibiscus, which is the Texas Red Star hibiscus, as well as lemongrass, lavender. And if you put this on your body and you go outside and there are a lot of mosquitoes, these will repel, this lotion will repel insects. So you can put it on liberally if you're going to be out camping or out for a picnic or a pool party. And it's very concentrated, it's very thick, and when you get it, it'll come in a shrink wrap. So you don't get products that are busted open and leaking out. And I handle this with gloves. Now, you can see my nails are clean, but in most of my videos, you might see my skin a little ashy because I walk around and I pick up weeds and I get in the dirt. I like to be my hands in the dirt, but it's a different thing altogether when I'm making products. I have on the hairnet, I have on my lab jacket, I have on gloves, and I practice all of the highest standards and precautions for safety and sanitation. I'm a cosmetology educator, beauty school director, so I'm very thorough when it comes to sanitation. So if you see me put my hands in the dirt, don't think the products go down like that. They do not. It's very, very sterile. Another thing I want to tell you that if you are allergic to any type of tree nuts, it could be some floating in the air with other products that I use. It's not any in here. However, I don't recommend anybody purchasing any of my products because of the reason that they're made right here in my kitchen, and it could be something floating around in the air. Okay, I took Bria and Brian to get a ice cream cone at Dairy Queen Saturday for helping me in the garden, and I saw that little sticker in the window about if you have nut allergies, they can't guarantee. And so you know if they can't do that at Dairy Queen, I certainly can't. So I don't want anybody to purchase anything that will make them get sick. It's just not worth it. Okay. All right. So I told you about the special. I told you about the Golden Girls, who are all over 70 years of age. And I told you about the Seeds of the Month. Shoot me an email with your address. This will be probably the last time I'll ask for an email address and a physical address, because I'm composing a list so I can have those automatic. All you have to do is shoot me and say my name is blah, 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 and I want the seeds. But this week, I want you to put your address. Okay. I will schedule the classes for May. I'll announce it on next Monday night, and give you the option of going to those classes. Okay, now let me get back in the chat and let's see what's happening. Hey, Wanda B, Sandra Living a Full Life. Thank you all for being here. And let me see if I missed anybody else. I think I got everybody. Okay. Karen Witherspoon, I don't know if I spoke to you or not. Excuse me. Hello. Those of you that... Oh, thank you, Grandmama Grown. She put the, if you want to join the Perk Club. And if somebody would put a link to the specials, please don't order this lotion on the lotion page. This is not your dollar store lotion. This is loaded with products that cost a little bit more, but you don't have to use a whole lot of it. Let me pull up my website, and so I'll make sure that I give you the exact information. You would click on the second page, and it tells you to be sure to watch Lady Cheryl every Monday night for the live chat where I answer your questions to the best of my ability, and then I'll let you know what the weekly special is. Remember, I changed it from Monday night only for the whole week. And that's really working out better for you and for me. So this week, I'm letting you know that it is the 8-ounce creamy body lotion. And it is normally $26. That includes shipping and handling. But for 1 week until April 25th, it'll be $19.99. So I've already changed the PayPal button on there, and you can go in and order it. It'll make a good gift. And don't forget, we got Mother's Day coming up. So if you have some mothers on your list, in your church, in your community, teacher, this would make a really nice little gift. Okay? All right. Let's get back to our notes. Okay, so now, at this time, I would like for everybody who is a member of any perk club, whether it is grow your own, eat your own, or make your own, I'd like for you to put in the URL for your YouTube channels. If you don't have a YouTube channel and you have an Instagram account, or you have a TikTok, or you have a Facebook page, you're welcome to put one or the other in the chat right now. If you don't have any of those, and you just say you want to just let people know that you're in zone 8A or 9B, you could put that in, and I always publish my lives. It sometimes doesn't happen for a couple of hours after the chat. I think they have to go through, the algorithm have to go through, make sure it's not profanity or anything inappropriately said in the chat. But usually when a couple hours later, it's published, and you can go back and get all your information. And speaking of information, I'm going to go in now, and I'm going to put my email address up. If I can find it. Yes. LadyCherylsNaturalProducts.com at gmail.com. And blessings from the garden. I'll put this right now in the chat. I'm also going to put in my Cash App if you would like to send a donation to support the channel. I prefer a Cash App, and I'm going to pin my email address to the top. I'm also going to put the Cash App up, and if any of my lovely moderators are in the house, you can put them in at different times during this chat. That would help me out too. Now, if you watched my video that I put up for Easter, I share some things with you, like, you know, different plants and cuttings that I sent. And the video that I'm going to put up tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning, I'm going to share even more where hey, Andrea Lucas, where I potted up into larger containers some of my cuttings. And I also started some trees from seeds. And one of those trees, just the top of my head, is called the Mimosa Tree. And it has beautiful silk-looking flowers. And somebody that is in one of my groups is going to win one of those trees. And I have two growing at the back of my food forest, and I'll feature it in an upcoming video. That the tree grows very fast. It's over 20 feet tall, and we're not pruning it because we want it to be a canopy above a lot of the small dwarf fruit trees. And the flowers are edible. You can make tea and what have you out of there. Thank you, Grandmama Gross. I appreciate you. How you doing, Miss Ellen? So everybody now who either, if you're a senior citizen or if you make your own, grow your own, or eat your own, you can put in your YouTube channels or your Instagram. I like how Grandmama Grows has her link, really cool. Growing with Hudson has her YouTube channel. And Lorraine T said, Golden Girls living their life like it's golden. I know that's right. It's one of my favorite songs by Jill Scott. Okay. So I'm going to give you all a few more minutes to do that while I go back and check out my notes. And if anybody doesn't know their garden zone, I'm going to put this link up. If you're new to gardening, you don't know your gardening zone, you can go to the Farmer's Almanac. There are several places, but I like the Farmer's Almanac the best. And I just put it on. And you can go in there and you put your zip code in and it'll tell you what gardening zone that you're in. And that's what I want to talk about today. Well, one of the things I'm going to talk about, I'll tell you right off the top of my head, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about companion planting and garden zones and different characteristics of your garden zone, and pesticides and insecticides. Those are the three things in my notes to talk about. So those of you that have a question, I really would appreciate it if you hold it until the moderators put the big question mark signs. Unless you have a question on the topic that I'm talking about, the three things I'm going to talk about. And I love the fact that Growing with Hudson is telling you all that we got 20 people in this chat that haven't hit the like button. Please, guys, that really helps us a lot. Please hit that like button. And, you know, a lot of times I'm real busy and I'm not trying to act like I'm all that. But I do have a company that I'm running and the food forest. And sometimes when the other people that I'm in have subscribed or on my subscriber list, and when they're having a live, a lot of times I can't make it. I just can't because I'm too busy. But I will go in and hit that like button and let them know I'm listening and I'm working in the garden. Or if I'm working on products. Normally, I don't say what I'm working on because I don't want people to think that I don't have proper YouTube etiquette. And I don't need to keep going into some people's live and say I'm working on getting the order out. And then somebody in there might go, what kind of order are you doing? And so I don't want to distract from the host. For example, I'll just say it. I was listening to Lydia, and she had Shanana and somebody else in there today, and I popped in for a few minutes. I was working outside in my food forest, and I let them know that I was working, but I'm listening, and I hit the like button. So even if I can't stay there the whole time, I would hit that like button to trigger or stimulate that algorithm. So I'm asking you all to do it for me as well. And I was going to say one more thing about that. Yeah, so sometimes if you're speaking back to me, I will be listening, but I won't look and see the chat. For example, Miss Ellen Pankey, we call her Auntie Ellen. She says, hello, Allsnet, at Sifting Some Soil, at Bobby Wilson, at Chine Moss Farm, at Brenda Allen, at Mia Love. She's spreading love, and she's letting you all, she's acknowledging that she's speaking to you. So if I come in your chat and you speaking back to me when I first come in, I was taught, and I took charm service and culture at church. And we had home training, but back in the day, we sat like a lady with our hands crossed, our knees together. There's certain etiquette that we learned in the home as well as in church. You know, when I was growing up, and I alluded to that in my video with the church ladies. They had the hats on those figurines that Brian Bree and I sprayed with polyurethane so it won't fade. And we will pull them up in the wintertime. But the ladies were more formal. They had the hats, the gloves. Your grandmother had her handkerchief. She would have a little peppermint or something that she would give us sweet grandbabies. It was more dignified. Now you see arms out, tongues. I don't want to go into it too far, but it's a little bit different nowadays. So that home training, and y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't walk into somebody's life and try to take it all over. So I'll speak and I'll keep it moving unless I am not busy and I'm there to sit and listen to what everybody has to say. Okay, so Miss Ellen saying we wore gloves and hats to church and the arms were covered. Yes, ma'am. And they had the Nurses Guild and the Missionary Society, and they would drop a blanket on your butt if you had on a mini dress and you were shouting and showing your underwear. They would come over and just cover you up, you know. Or you didn't sit like a lady on the front row trying to entice people. They didn't play. I wish we would get back to some of that, but it is what it is. Hi, Lisa's Journey. Thank you so much for being here. At Home with Cherie says, I'm the same, Lady Cheryl. I listen and support silently most of the time because I'm working on a project and I don't want to be rude and not answer folks. Plus, following chats can make my eyes hurt. And yes, they really can. It takes a lot of time. So when I know that I can't pay attention or I know that I'm working all around the food forest and I don't have a Bluetooth, I'll just go and watch the replay. While I'm whipping up some shea butter, I'll just have it on my computer. And a lot of times I won't have a chance to comment, then I'll go back. So if you're one of those content creators that are religiously checking your count, and then you see that you had 123 people who had watched your video, and then Lady Cheryl comes in and says, I enjoyed your video. I really like how you planted the poppies, and your count didn't change. That doesn't mean that I didn't watch your video on my PC. Please keep that in mind. So don't watch that count so close because you don't know when somebody has watched it or when they haven't. And you have to watch it a certain amount of minutes in order for it to count too. So I never look at that. I'll go back and I'll look at my statistics later. But I never go back and say, oh, At Home with Cherie claimed she watched my video, but my count didn't go up. I'm just putting that out there for you content creators. You never really know. I'm trying hard to not need glasses. Keeping my eyes health is important. Yes, it sure is. It really, really is. And somebody mentioned something about etiquette. Bobby Wilson. Etiquette was an important part of our upbringing. And that's so true. It's just certain things that I see that if my mother probably rolling over in her grave if she, because our house growing up was the Kool-Aid house. We weren't rich or anything, but my mother always had Kool-Aid, and she had popcorn or candy apples or something, and everybody always came over in the yard, and we had talent shows and stuff like that, and she would teach the kids in the community a lot of stuff, and she was an artist. I told you all that. So it was very, very important to act like a lady, act like a gentleman. You know, a lot of guys don't even hold the door for you nowadays. My sons will. They see you no matter how old you are. Excuse me, ma'am, I got that. They're going to open up that door and let me go into that post office, that grocery store, if it doesn't have, you know, the electric doors. It's just a lot of stuff. And ladies, we need to demand more. Don't let nobody come to your home and pick you up honking the horn and can't come to the door. I wish somebody would have. Well, y'all, I don't talk a lot about my husband, but he was a very, very stern Christian man, and he didn't play. Nobody was coming to the house to pick up my daughter, and we didn't know nothing about him. She couldn't even go to football games and stuff. The first time she went to a football game in her senior year, they couldn't believe she was out, but her dad was right there. Very strict. And I know a lot of times, you know, you can be real strict and the kids can go wild, but that didn't happen with her. Okay. Yes, Andrea. Yep, no honking horns. That's so disrespectful. But this generation is a little bit different. Hey, Antia, thank you for being here. And somebody is speaking to African Empress. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so now my two topics. I'm going to talk about a little bit about companion planting. And what I want to get through to you all is this. Most master gardeners or people who do reading literature for gardening will tell you that most companion planting is not scientific. It is not scientific. But I alluded to something in my last video about how I like to talk to old timers. Oh, my son called them in the barbershop. That's old school there, mama. I said, oh, okay. Meaning there's a senior gentleman and they know a little bit about life, and especially when it comes to gardening. I distinctly remember my grandmother saving the used coffee grounds, eggshells, and the banana peels to make a liquid fertilizer. The only thing she didn't do that I do is I rinse the eggshells out, nuke them in the microwave, and then crush them up. Because if you can carry some diseases in those eggshells if that liquid is still in there. But that was old school. So I said I was going to talk a little bit about fertilizers too, so I'm going to be jumping all around. So a lot of those old school traditions or knowledge that they have, it was very true because they were getting the NPK from the used coffee grounds, the banana peels, which have more nutrition in the banana peel than the actual inside of the fruit, and then the eggshells. It takes a long time for the eggshells to break down, so I don't advise anybody putting a whole egg in the bottom of a tomato plant. Microwave, crush it up, it'll decompose faster, and the plant would take up the nutrients. Thank you, Grandmama Groves. Hi, Oldham Half-Acre Homestead. And hi, Lita. Thank you for being here. Now, another thing about the NPK of the coffee grounds, the banana peels, and the eggshells, do not, I repeat, do not use new coffee grounds. It's too strong. But I will tell you that it must be used, and you can get some at, different coffee houses, Starbucks being one. They save it for people. And if you put new coffee grounds and it's not diluted enough, you can actually do more harm than good. You can use coffee grounds. Slugs don't like them, and they love to eat hosta plant, and you can sprinkle around the coffee grounds around that, and that will help you with that. Now let's get back to what I was talking about companion planting, about it not being really scientific. There's just some things that the old folks knew and it works. For example, my strawberries. You're going to see in my next video, I share with you, I haven't had not one slug on them, and I haven't had to put out the juice. I personally think it is because we haven't gotten into our rainy season yet. It's here now. But also, I have elevated the grow boxes on the platforms with the sawhorses and the wood. And so I want you all to pay attention, please, in the next couple of videos and watch how everything is elevated up, and I don't have to do a lot of bending and stooping, which allows me to feel better and have more mobility and don't be aching so much. Yes, I have some projects in the ground I have to dig, like I put grapevines, muscadines in the ground. I had to get down on my knees. I had to get down on my knees and work with that prayer garden. I had to get down on my knees when I transplanted my tomatoes into the galvanized steel bed. But everything else is elevated up. So it's getting easier and easier. So if you know anybody in your family that used to love to garden, but they have issues with their knees or their back, or maybe they just don't have the stamina. They may have to have the assistance of a walker or even a wheelchair. Those platforms, you can wheel them right up there and bring some joy in their life by letting them know that they're still here, they're still vital, and they still can have a garden. It's just how you do it. Okay? All right, let's see what people are saying. Okay, cool. Oh, I love it. Lita said, my mama is in this chat and she does not play about etiquette. Thank you for bringing me up right, mama. Bobby is her daughter. That is beautiful. And it's a wonderful thing. Okay, Miss Ellen said it. And do not blow the horn in front of my house. Ring the doorbell. Yes. To me, it's just so disrespectful. And somebody's saying something to Lucas. He must have said something funny. Or she's just waving. Grandmama Gross. She's speaking to everybody in the musical notes. Okay, very good. Yeah, it's just disrespectful. So, the onions are good companion plants, excuse me, guys, for almost anything. So I sprinkle onions and society garlic all around my food forest, okay? But I noticed, because I'm eating breakfast, y'all, out in the food forest. And especially when I'm watering, I just rinse it off and just eat my little strawberries while I'm out there, okay? I had asparagus, fresh asparagus the other day. Just delicious. And I described the taste, and it'll be in my next video. So, when you're companion planting, there's certain things that I agree with the master gardeners or whatever. And from experience, I learned that certain things you shouldn't plant together. And you know, it's the standard things. And some things are really not scientific, because I have yet to make a tomato taste better by planting basil with it. Now, I planted, but the ones that don't have basil around them taste just as nice or sweet as the ones that have the basil. So I don't know if all of that is really, really true. And then another thing I want to tell you is you can use natural things for your insecticides. I'm going to share with you in a new video aphids on a dwarf pear tree. Now, I'm going to talk about this because I didn't put all of it in the video. I'm going to show you a little tour of how funky the food forest is growing and my little sore spots. And then in 2 weeks, after everything's all cleaned up and there's more of a transition of the fruit on the trees, that I'm going to come back and show you another video. But I want to talk a little bit about aphids today and insecticides. And like I said, what I'm going to say, some of this is going to be in the video I'm alluding to, but I didn't want to draw the video out and make it real long. The one thing that I have noticed from my experience with aphids is this. First of all, there are over 5,000 different species or varieties of aphids. And aphids, what they do is they suck the life out of your plant. And they know which plant is weak or young and tender and can't fight them off. So, as of right now, the only plant or tree in my food forest that has been attacked by aphids was the weakest link. A tree that I was going to throw away, and I said I'm going to give it 1 more year. And it's pulled through. But the aphids know when a tree is young or vulnerable or weak, and they attack that weak tree. The other thing I want to tell you, and it's going to be in the video, is this. It took me years to realize that I did not need to put neem oil or Bonner Brothers soap or a little Dawn dish soap with the neem oil and spray every time I saw aphids. Morning, noon, and night. Spraying. It took me years to figure it out. All I needed to do was give them a blast of water from a strong source. And the aphids would drown. Now, I'm going to prove it to you. Because I'm going to show a close-up of the aphids in the video. And then I'm going to show you me drowning the aphids. And then the very next day, I come back out there. And what did I see where the aphids were? A ladybug. See, if you don't kill off your non-beneficial insects, you also let your beneficial insects live and do the work for you. So I ran back in the house and I got my camera. I said, oh Lord, please, ladybug, please still be there. Please still be there. And I captured it. And I put a little thing scrolling across the screen the next day to let you know that a day had expired. So obviously there were some remnants of the aphids still on the pear tree, and the ladybug, I don't know if they smell it, they probably do, or they hear it, or they sense it. They know where to go to eat those aphids. And so it's a cycle. If you see a lot of ants crawling up and down your okra plant or your tree, trust me on this. Start looking very close and you will see the aphid eggs. And they are so clever because these aphid eggs were so tiny that I almost missed them. And they had just coated around the pear, all around like the top of this pen. And they were real close and they were barely moving. And then I saw a lot of ants. And then I got close up on it. And I said, doggone it, those are aphid eggs. And then I blasted them off. So the next day, the aphids were being eaten by the ladybugs, the few that were there. So aphids secrete a sticky honeydew substance that the ants like. And a lot of people think that ants be actually eating your plants. They do not. They come up and clean up the morning dew, the water or the honeydew substance from the aphids. That's what they like. They like liquid. They don't gnaw and chew up on plants. They'll bite us, those fire ants, but they don't actually chew up the plants. Okay? So mark my word, and I want you all to email me and show me a picture if you come across this. Look very careful. Where you see ants, you're going to see aphids. And if you have a healthy permaculture going on in your gardens, you're going to see the ladybugs will come in and defend your fruit trees or your beans or whatever I noticed that they like beans, they like squash, they being aphids, they love okra, and they love tender fruit trees that are vulnerable. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about the aphids? They could be green, they could be brown. And you have to look real close because you won't be able to detect them until they start getting a little bit bigger and they'll start moving around. Okay? All right. Let me see if I got any questions. Half Odom Acre Homestead said, just planted garlic around all of my fruit trees. I have a lot of herbs around my fruit trees too. Very good. Hey, James Franklin, thank you for being there. Yeah, James, Odom. I have, I think it's 5 containers of Society garlic. And I just got a box in from, let me get up and get it. Where is my box? Okay, come on, a little light. Well, my ring light went out, but I had to go get it because I always mix up the name of this farm, and it's called Dixondale Farms, and they are in Carrizo Springs, Texas. And this is my second order with them. And I'm going to plant my onions, more onions, because the squirrels, see that? These are your short days. The squirrel, and I'll go through here and pick out the best ones and the fat ones and put them where the fruit trees are in the ground and some in containers, because the squirrels don't like the smell of onions and Society garlic. And cats don't like it either. So, yeah, I didn't have enough, so I ordered some more. And they came in, I believe, Saturday. I don't remember, guys. But they came in, and so I'll be planting these out tomorrow. And in that video that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you how you can stop your onions from going to seed. I don't want to give everything away in the video because I think it's a good video and I really want you all to watch it. So, try to use plants like marigolds, nasturtiums, onions, chives, garlic, especially society garlic because it's very pungent, to use that as an insecticide or pesticide to deter insects. If you go to my playlist, you'll see I have some concoctions that I make that have onions, garlic, and crushed red pepper flakes, and I spray that. No oil, no dish soap. When it's 85 degrees or more, I try to disguise the scent of certain plants like squash, cucumbers, watermelon, corn. I'm not growing all of these, but I'm just saying that you can smell a cucumber when it first germinates. After it gets a second set of leaves, you know it's a cucumber. You know it's a cantaloupe. And so if we can smell it, you know the insects have that keen sense and they know where to go and start attacking your stuff. So once it gets 85 degrees, take oil out of your repertoire to battle insects and try to use what I just mentioned: marigolds, onions, garlic, nasturtiums, red pepper flakes, things that a lot of insects don't like. Try to use natural fertilizers. When you have a lot of stuff that smells really, really bad, you invite all of those elements to come into your yard. Now, some things we use and it'll dissipate after a couple hours. You know, that's fine. But just know one action will cause a chain of reactions. Okay? All right. And I already talked about the natural fertilizers. Okay. All right. So, are there any questions about what we just went over? And if there aren't, then I'm going to open the floor up for, and my granny's, not my granny's garden, Grandmama Groves will put the question marks up. Okay, Grandmama Groves said, I'm surprised I grew onions from seed. Yes, it can be done. It just takes a little longer. But me having as many fruit trees that I have, I would have to grow a whole lot of onions from seeds. And so that's why I just go ahead. It's some areas that I'm just going to go ahead on and pay things. For example, guys, you guys know that I didn't use any fancy containers or anything, just like solo cups. All of my whole garden, I practically grew it from seeds, except the onions. Society garlic, I propagate every year. So when you save a whole lot of money growing your groceries, every now and then, if you want to buy something, you know, that's okay. Or if you're working and you can't grow everything from seeds because you don't have time to harden it off or make sure the temperature is correct because you're working a 9 to 5, there's nothing wrong with buying transplants. It's just the fact that I can grow more things and it's more feasible for me to grow from seeds because I can grow a lot and don't spend but a few pennies. Okay? All right. Okay, what does it mean when your ginger starts to develop yellow spots? Yellow spots on the leaves or yellow spots on the rhizomes? And thank you, Best Yet. How you doing? I appreciate you putting up the playlist for insect control. So until let me know. And Grandmama Grows, she's doing the walking onions. They say, Grandmama Grows, once you grow those, you'll never have to grow them again because they just keep walking. I don't mean that sound crazy. I didn't mean to sound crazy, but they'll just keep traveling. Yellow spots on the leaves. I'm trying to start a lot from seed, but things have gotten hectic at work, and I'm concerned that they are not getting the care that they need. Yellow spots on the leaf could be too much water. It could be an iron or a nitrogen deficiency. So you want to check those 3 things. hold back if it's water. You can give it a little iron or a little nitrogen. Okay, at home with you year, they were my yard, so now I will watch them. Okay. Any other questions? And thank you, Grandmama Groves, for telling people to put them in all caps, because if you don't, I won't see them. Hey, C. Thomas, thank you for being here. And Allsnat Homesteader is in the house. Okay, guys, we don't have any more questions. I'm here, waiting for your questions. Hey, Love Notes, good to see you. Okay. I guess, hey, Rhonda, good to see you. That triggers my memory. Rhonda and her wonderful husband was spreading some mulch. If you don't know, Lowe's has mulch on sale for $2 a bag. I got 25 bags. Now, I don't put that type of mulch in my containers, say like where my fruit trees are or my raised garden beds or anything like that. I put it all around my pathways. And it could be around the fruit tree, but not real close up where that circumference of that root ball is there. But that is a very good price for $2 a bag. I think she mentioned it was $5 for $10, but they just advertised $2 where I live in Texas. And that's a really good deal. James Franklin wants to know, what other flowers can I grow to draw in more good bugs? Anything, James. Zinnias, poppies, nasturtiums. I like to deal with the flowers that reseed very quickly. And so that's why I deal with a whole lot of heirloom zinnias, because I will plant them or start some seeds, and then as they die off, I let some of the seeds just scatter wherever they want to go. And then in the fall, or actually late summer, early fall, I have a whole new crop of zinnias, and they're good until you get the first heavy frost, 32 degrees. Antia says, have you ever used pine animal bedding as mulch? I never have, but I know people do. And it's my understanding that it's good on acidic plants like berries, mulberries, blueberries, blackberries. It will lower the pH a little bit. And Grandmama Grove says, I've been wondering about that since I have a rabbit. Antia. Okay. And I understand that pine mulch is very expensive. And so, getting back to James, if you plant a lot of flowers, intermingle them into your garden beds or put some containers by your garden beds, you won't have problems with pollination. When somebody tells me they have to go and hand pollinate something, in the back of my mind, I want to say, have you planted any flowers? Not only do those pop of colors make your day brighter and make your garden look so good, it really does help with pollination. Hair question from Fayette. Is the moisturizing hair milk good for locks? Yes, ma'am. For locks. Yes. I wore locks for 7 years, and every now and then I will put a picture of me with shoulder-length hair with the locks, and I just got tired of them. After you wear them for so long. But yes. And Love Notes is saying pine straw needles is used on top of my blueberry containers. Very good. And B. Washington said there are a lot of, she got lost, but I know she meant a lot of ants. And I recommend Medina orange oil before it gets 85 degrees. It's on my list on Amazon. Lady Cheryl's is public. Medina orange oil works wonders for ants. I use it especially a lot in the wintertime, and I haven't been seeing hardly any ants this year. And I think somebody's talking about the rabbit poo is good for your garden. And Odom said that he grows the fruits and the berries and the vegetables, and he can't grow the flowers. He leaves that to his wife. That's what makes you all a good team. I certainly understand that. I wish things were different and my husband was still alive. We would be a really good team, because he knew a whole lot about fruit trees. And I didn't try to learn, all this kind of stuff until after he had passed. Because I do remember him going fishing, and I do remember him digging around his fruit trees and putting the fish guts around there. I do remember him cleaning out our fireplace and putting that around the fruit trees. I never asked him why, but later in life, I realized that was biochar. You know what I mean? So I had to learn a lot about fruit trees. Everything I've learned about fruit trees, I learned within the last, I'll be 68, last 8 years. It's been a long journey. And I love this. He said, yes, God smiled on me the day I met her. Beautiful. Yeah, you're equally yoked there. When somebody can take up the slack and you come together as a team, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so James Franklin said, right, that's why I'm asking. I love to see hummingbirds to come in and all kinds of butterflies. Those of you that are growing the Texas Star Hibiscus, they love, love, love. Lydia from Best Yet Journey painted this beautiful picture for me. And you can see the hibiscus and you see the hummingbirds. They love that Texas Star Hibiscus. Hey, Bernie, good to see you. James said, good idea, but I can't do that where I live. However, what about sunflowers? I grow a lot of them, James. I have 1, 2, 3 pots. 1, 2 large pots of sunflowers and 1 small one. And last year, if you look at my videos last year, my mammoth sunflower was over 20 feet tall. And that's when I told you guys, if you don't grow stuff in your garden that non-beneficial insects like, they'll find something else. Squash bugs were all over my mammoth sunflowers because I didn't grow any squash. But I have squash growing this year. And I'm getting ready. I saw some seeds in my freezer. I'm getting ready to plant Minnesota midget, cantaloupe, and the seeds are 10 years old or more. And sugar baby watermelon. That's what I'll be planting tomorrow. And I want to tell you guys, I had over 400 little solo cups, and most of them had 2 plants in the cup. Everything is now in a container or in the ground except for 2 cups. And that is my jicama, because I got to do a little bit more studying on it. But that will be planted tomorrow, as well as the sugar baby watermelon and cantaloupe. I said I wasn't going to ever plant any more again because I don't have room. I ain't got time for all of that. But I'm going to do it again because you keep evolving. That's why I never say what I won't ever plant anymore. I'll say what I think I'm not going to grow. Okay. So the 2 products that I recommend that you use Fayette on for locks is hair growth promoter, oil your scalp twice a week, and you can spray a little of the lock the moisturizing hair milk on your lock every day, and you can. It also works with good natural curly hair. And about twice a week, you can put the Total Control body oil. It's for the hair as well down all the way to your toes. Yeah, and so that's what James Franklin is saying. That's what I'm asking. I love to see the hummingbirds come in and all kinds of butterflies. Guys, we're seeing the biggest butterflies we've ever seen this year so far. Brian and Bria's just freaking out Saturday every time they saw one. Look at that! Look at it! It looked like a bird. It was so big. And it really, 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 really is a big. So yeah, grow a lot of flowers, and you'll see that you won't have issues. I'm still waiting to plant my garden. I only have potatoes and onions. Oh, you're in 7A. Makes sense. Thank you, Fayette. And I was going to tell you guys something about me. I don't do what everybody else does. People in North Texas like to wait until after Easter to plant their gardens. My tomatoes went in the first week of March. But I had those domes to put over them. I had burlap. I had frost cloths. I had everything that I needed should we get a low temperature. I could protect them. I had C9 and C7 Christmas tree lights. I didn't have to use them. I had the vintage lanterns I could have put in a garden bed. I didn't have to use them because the weather stayed pretty fair. And we didn't get anything below 32. So, you know, you could push the envelope a little bit, especially if you're growing by seeds and you know you don't have a lot of money invested in the starts. I didn't put all of them out, just a few, okay? So I pushed the envelope a little bit, but wait till you see the video tomorrow or the next day, and you're going to see how beautiful my tomato plants look. And I know I don't need to keep saying they beautiful, they beautiful, they beautiful. But you know what? I'm not bragging. My mom used to say it's not bragging if it's true. They are beautiful. The zinnias, the first couple of them, they got beat up a little bit by the wind. Because, you know, who was that? Myron McCain was talking about the 70 miles per hour winds. Well, it's normal for us to have wind gusts to 40 to 45 miles an hour in Texas. That movie with Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor that portrays how windy it can be in Dallas, it's really true. Excuse me, guys. It's really, really true. So a lot of times it is not the cold that can ruin our starts. It can be the wind gust. Okay? All right. Cheryl from Lady Cheryl. Must be Pearl from Lady Cheryl. Okay. And Myron McCain is talking about the yard. Myron McCain. Mike Kromatsky. I haven't seen bumblebees in years. This week I saw about 10 in my yard. They are all into my peach tree bloom. I'm telling you, that's what I'm having. I think it's going to be a good year. You know, you pray and you hope you don't get a real bad storm to blow all the fruit off. But you just have to just stay positive and just expect it. And don't be disappointed if you lose fruit. Every morning I go out and walk around my food forest. I see some of my plums have fell because the wind were high or whatever. But all in all, I think it's going to be a really, really good year for Cheryl's Organic Food Forest. Lady Cheryl's Organic Food Forest. I really do. I don't think we're going to get too many pawpaws. I don't think we're going to have any cherries because my Stellas are still sleeping. But I scrape it back at the bark and I go down, down, down. And it's still green. So, you know, the Windsor Sweet and the Rainier cherries have already flowered. And those two can't pollinate each other. I need a Stella, I got 3 of them, to pollinate those 2 cherry trees. I think next year would be the year. But everything else, I think we're going to get a nice amount of fruit. Now, we may not get a lot of grapefruit. We might just get a few. Even though the trees are loaded, every day they keep falling off. But I think we're going to have a nice amount of fruit. I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, but I'm going to expect good things. And I have a lot of wasps. Who is that they're talking about? The fruit trees, the peach trees with the bumblebees. I have a lot of wasps that are pollinating my stone fruit. So even if you don't see bees or butterflies, there are other things. For example, pawpaws are pollinated by flies. And when that is occurring, it smells like dead flesh. So they are at the back of my food forest, the final back. So you do your research and you strategically plant where you know it may be a smell, or you know if something's going to be invasive. You take all of that into consideration. Okay? She was asking a question, Lady Cheryl, about where to get Texas hibiscus. David Corey, you know, I sold those seeds, and I gave a lot of those seeds away. I have a few left. If you want to cash app me $10, I will send her a dozen of those seeds and a couple of moonflowers. Anybody want any seeds for me? I put some extra seeds from something else in there. So you can send me the money for that. Whoever that's asking that, David saying she's asking about that. I don't know who it is. But Chine Moss Farm, did you rewrite your song? Yeah, I just get in there and just sing a little bit. And, you know, I come from a musical family. My father sang with Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers. And they did quartet singing, and they passed that down to us. So I was raised in church. I think I did a video of my brother singing I Won't Complain. I think that's what I did. Yeah. So we grew up singing in school, church. It wasn't until I had surgery on I don't like to talk about it so much. It wasn't cancer, but I had a tumor wrapped around my esophagus, thyroid, and parathyroid, and it damaged my vocal cords. But I still could sing a little bit, but nothing like I used to. So, but I love to sing. So I get in there and I just be rewriting and stuff and just doing me. Bernie said, we need a good year. I'm agreeing, Bernie. That was a nice video. I saw you with the manual tiller, and you were tilling your in-ground planting, getting it ready to plant onions. And I said, that's a neat little gadget. I don't do any type of tilling because I do everything in a raised garden bed or containers. I do the no-till method. Okay. And Ellen saying they have a frost advisory in Connecticut. Right. And speaking of you, Miss Ellen, you sent me an email and told me to stratify, I think it was the African marigold you sent me. Well, it was too late. I had already got some to germinate before I even tried to stratify them, so I didn't do that. They bloomed. I meant to email you and tell you that. Okay, at home with Cherie said it is still too cold to see any bugs out, except when it warmed up a bit, I saw 2 mosquitoes. They were indestructible, surviving our winters. Yeah. They know what to do. They go inside a brush or they go down into the soil. And believe it or not, when there's snow, it actually insulates the brush and keep everything warmer. So the bugs know what to do. And Best Yet said it's cold there too, and it was 85. Okay. Okay, guys, are there any more questions? And somebody's asking about the Easter. I know I had a wonderful time with my grandkids, with Brian and Bria, and we had steak and potato and salad and ginger ale. No dessert, and which was unusual. My daughter, she loves to bake. And then my baby son, the one that does the pruning for me, he brought me a plate of what him and his wife and family had. And my oldest son, he lives too far away, and they had a fish fry or something, and I didn't get a chance to taste any of their good food. But I was going to order pawpaw until you told us that last year. Probably about the flies that Cherie is talking about. Antia says, I'm claiming that it's going to be a great year in Antia's backyard garden in spite of, bless his name. And let's see, Lorraine is asking, sifting some soil, do you put a piece of it in the dirt or the whole sweet potato? I'll let her answer that question. But I can tell you what I do. I'm not going to grow any sweet potatoes this year. And you're probably going to say, well, why are you not growing on sweet potatoes? Well, I still have some canned. I still have some in the freezer. And believe it or not, I still got about 6 sweet potatoes over there from last year. And I am pre-diabetic, so I'm cutting back on sweet potatoes I can have, but I'm cutting back on that because of the calorie count. Grandmama Grove said her apple tree is blooming, but there's no pollinators around from the cold. That Gala apple tree that I had that finally died, that little beast will bloom in February. And we would have to wrap Christmas tree lights around it, not the LEDs, the old-fashioned ones. And then it finally gave up the ghost when we had that bad freeze. And to be honest with you all, I got tired of fighting it anyway. It was always off sync. Okay, so Mike Kromowski is saying, yes, I've seen honeybees and wasps a lot, but until the sunflowers, no bumblebees. Love bumblebees. Yeah, we have some beautiful black bumblebees. Okay. What's the best technique to grow sweet potato slips? Place it in dirt or in the water. I've done both of them. In fact, I have a video. I think it is my highest viewed video. If you go to my playlist, and it says I grew sweet potatoes from free sweet potatoes. I grew them in containers. And I noticed they were in my pantry and they were sprouting. So I took them and I put them in some soil outside, and as they started producing slips, I put a little small, like a milk bottle in the little containers, and I cut them off, put the slips and rooted them, and then like about 3 weeks, I had a whole lot of potato slips. So I've done them both ways. Okay, James said he had a monarch come in last season and ate almost, I know what he's saying, ate almost all of his fennel. And yeah, and they love dill too. I plant dill and milkweed for the monarch butterflies. Monarch butterflies especially host off of milkweed. And you remember, guys, I shared with you where you all could have got some free milkweed seeds by just planting, giving a little donation. And I sold those seeds too. And Cheryl Chisholm is saying, can somebody please tell me where to get Texas hybrid seeds? You need to email me. I have a few seeds left. Here you go. I got a few left and I can send you some. Okay. I'm going back up. Auntie says she put out some peas, but I'm not convinced they are doing much of anything. The tip keeps going up and down. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, huge butterflies, Lorraine. I gotta catch them. But I'm still waiting to plant my garden only to have potatoes, and that's autumn. So yeah, you can plant in zone 7, you can plant potatoes, onions, and peas, wheat, and still to cool for everything else. We plant potatoes in zone 8A on Valentine's Day. So we could plant potatoes, onions, and peas in February. Because one thing about potatoes, even if you get a freeze, they will die back, but they still will come back. I'm telling you, not what I read, I'm telling you what I have experienced. And David Corey is telling her Cheryl what she needs to do. Okay, very good. Thank you, David. Okay, Mary McCain says, Lady Cheryl, I got chickens and quails for bugs and fertilizer. Any ideas on odor control of compost? No, the only thing I can tell you about odor control of compost is to keep meat, oil, grease, eggs. Eggshells are fine. But keep a lot of meat and things that rodents, like. And I'll tell you all something. I don't put anything with seeds in it, my compost. It used to be fun. What is this growing? Is it a tomato? Is it a pepper? But after a while, it gets a little old, so I don't put any seeds in my compost. Okay, Best Jet Journey said, I feel like this is a stupid question, but is it too late for me to start my sweet potato? No. You're in the same zone that I'm in. We don't really plant sweet potatoes until May. So you can start now. Best yet, you can start now. And Love Grown Green Garden says she planted everything before surgery on Friday. Good for you, and I hope you get well very quickly, and I sincerely mean that. Grandma McGraw said baking soda or biochar can keep the odor down. I agree with that. But you don't need it if you don't put the grease, the chicken, the bones, all that kind of stuff that smells when it decays. But she's right, because some people compost everything. And Antia is telling Cherie ice fishing is popular here. I can see that. And Lorraine T is telling David he's going to try this purple sweet potato. I know a lot of people grow that sweet potato, but it looks a little weird to me when you make a purple sweet potato pie. It looks kind of grayish. But, it's fine. But I was never been a real big fan of the purple sweet potato. And I grew some Purple Majesty sweet potatoes. I got them from my nursery called oh man, I just went blank. Is it Covington? Exclusive nursery here in my area. And I don't know, guys. It just they didn't do it for me. I like the Beauregards, and I like O. Henry. I like the white sweet potato. Yeah. So James said his last frost day is May 17th. Can I start greens? I would, and just be prepared to put a frost blanket over them. All your greens, your cabbage, your brassicas, they're going to grow real slow anyway. I would, Jay. I have the means to cover stuff up, so I start early. Because let me share this with you all. If I wait until everybody around here to tell me to start my tomatoes, I wouldn't have any. Because by the second week of June, it is too hot for tomatoes to bloom. It's over 100 degrees. Tomatoes, they can bloom, but they're just going to fall off. So I harvest all of my summer tomatoes by the second week of June. every year. So I have to start early because all they're going to do is struggle. And I'm not one who is going to baby them, shade them, put a fan outside and do. I just don't do all that, guys. Especially since I grow all year round. I posted today tomatoes that I harvested today. Sweet California Wonder Orange bell pepper today. A red jalapeno and a green jalapeno. So since I have the ability to grow all year round in the greenhouse, I take some chances and I don't work myself to death when it's 100 degrees. I physically cannot be out there in that heat like that. Hey, Kia, good to see you. And David said he puts his in the shade. Yeah. So, and I used to clone some because I really like that mushroom basket tomato. And I was thinking about cloning. I said, no, I ain't going to do that because that's going to be just too much work. I'm just not going to do it. It just gets too hot. Odom said, I want to plant my tomatoes, but my wife won't let me. Well, maybe y'all should compromise and let her tell you want to plant two tomato plants in a 5-gallon bucket and you can bring it in the garage. It's a ways to do stuff. I like to take chances. Grandmama Gross says she's been deleting struggling plants and start them over. And Grandmama Gross, I don't play around with plants. If they are really in bad shape, I put them in the compost. Now, if I got one that's struggling a little bit, because on the east side of my greenhouse, the plant that I'm harvesting tomatoes from right now was a struggle plant that I almost threw in the compost. So it just depends. If it looks really weak and bad, I don't play around with them. But if it's just a little bit weak, I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a couple of weeks to see what it'll do. And that's what I did with that plant. And let me show you. And that's where this tomato came from. So struggle can be good. And look how beautiful that jalapeno pepper grew all winter in the greenhouse. So it was worth it, me lighting the heaters, lighting the vintage lamps, lighting the candles. And here's the California Wonder. Now this pepper gets much bigger than this. But this is good for grown in the winter. So when I know I can grow some food in the winter, I don't worry about struggling with plants, keeping them shaded and all that. I just try to give my garden beds a little break, and then I start again around the end of July germinating stuff, and then I start putting them in the ground around the last August, because it's just too hot here. When it's 108 degrees 10 days in a row, ain't too much gonna grow. Okra, sweet peppers, jalapeno peppers, ghost peppers, habanero peppers, sweet potatoes, they love heat. And that's about it. So when all of you are having these massive harvests like Cheryl and some other people in here, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot. I'll be, at that point is when I start harvesting and preserving fruit. But I won't be growing the bulk of my groceries. Okay? So when you garden in the same environment over and over and over, you kind of know what works and what doesn't work. What variety of tomato was the struggling tomato in Zone 6B good zone for them? Myra Kane, yeah, I think this mushroom basket by Baker Creek will grow very well in your zone. Yes, David, okra loves the heat. And at home, Cherie, I remember that heat wave that you had real early on, and you were scared, but your garden did wonderful. Yeah, we all learning best yet. We are all learning. I try to learn something every day. And Growing with Jay, thank you for being here. It says, I'm with you, Miss Lady. When it comes to gardening, there's some things I just have to try my luck at and see what works for me. Because you could be in zone 8A. Who is that just said they in zone 8A? I think it was Best Yet. If it wasn't, it was somebody else. You can be in zone 8A, but you don't get 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts that break all the stems off of your fruit. Or you could be in zone 8A and you don't get 10 days of 108 degrees. You see, so just because you're in zone 8A does not necessarily mean our weather is going to be the same. You got to try some things for yourself and learn for yourself. Okay. The roots on okra grow amazingly deep. Yes, they do, sir. Mike said he loves fried okra. I can eat okra raw. Okay, I'm just reading some of your notes. And Odin says his Jordan love pickled okra. I don't like pickled okra because I can't have a lot of salt. And to me, pickles don't taste like pickles without a lot of salt. So I don't make them anymore. I like it raw. I like it in soups, in stews. I like it in stir fry. I like okra and peas, and I was going to say beans, but I can't eat a lot of beans. But I can eat green beans. But I can't eat those hard beans like navy beans, pinto beans. It's just, they just does something to my system. And yes, that was a tomato basket, Allsnet Home Center. Put your your questions in all caps. Now I'm going to tell you something. This tomato, I guarantee you, will be ruby red tomorrow. Because this is how it looked when I gave some to my daughter. And when I went over there for Easter dinner, it was ruby red. And another good thing about this tomato is it is very meaty, meaning that it makes an excellent pasta or paste. Okay? Very sweet, too. Peppers love heat. Yes, Corey, I said that. I think I held this up, this pepper, and I told you habaneros and all that. I may start some seeds of habaneros so that I can have some peppers or something growing when it's real hot. Something that I don't have to worry about when I go on vacation. Grow you some rice, but make sure the pot has no holes. It grows like tall grass. That's something I've never tried to grow. And I can't eat rice, that much rice, so being pre-diabetic, so I won't be doing that. James Franklin, I have never grown mushrooms. And Presbyterian Gardener asked me what type of netting do I use. I will, let me write it down. I'll email you. Let me write this down. It's the insect netting that I use, that I get from Amazon. It's called insect netting, and it has a little metallic thread running through it. But I'm gonna email you. And I'll put it on my list, my Amazon list. You can use shade cloth. I think I want to grow mushroom tomatoes. I love them. And Mike said, It's moving too fast. Something about silver garland works wonderful for me last year on my blueberries and my strawberry, and the peas and the birds would not go near them. I don't know what silver garland. Oh, garland. Yes, yes, reflective. You can use CDs too. The little circle CDs. Because one time I had a bad problem with stink bugs. Lately I don't have them. Last few years I don't have them. And I had to hook CDs on the little cages, and they spin and reflect in the sun. And the birds and the stink bugs would not go near them. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you for contributing, Deborah. Can I grow loofah plant in a pot? Yes, you can. It needs to be real big. Homestead Heart sent me some complimentary loofah seeds. And I said I may try to start them in the fall or something. I don't have no room right now. Okay. Mushroom basket. Baker Creek. Mushroom basket. Somebody said they didn't hear. Okay, hello everyone in the garden. Thank you for being here. Okay, at Home with Cherie said something about my greenhouse was over 100 when it was in the 60s. The Minnesota sun is no joke. Had to keep the door and the window open for hours to get it back to 70. Yeah, as I tell everybody, you got to know what you're doing with the greenhouse. I know people just get it and jump into it, and they don't think about the wind and how the sun solarizes it real quick. And that's why I always keep stressing over and over and over again to do your research, do your due diligence. Yes, thank you, Grandmama Gross, for putting the mushroom basket tomato, Baker Creek. What are you talking about? Mike is saying 100. Yes, mine has been up to 120. So my cover is off. And the cover decays so much with the wind whipping it around. The frame doesn't move, but the cover does. I buy a new cover every year. It's worth it because I don't buy a lot of groceries. So I don't mind buying a cover every year. I used to try to save it and put sealant on it and all. I don't do that. In the wintertime, I buy a new greenhouse cover, 20 by 10 by 7. I've never taken it out of the box that I bought last winter. And next winter, I'll be doing the same thing. Yeah, and Dale, my CDs kept the stink bugs away. It's something about the reflection. They don't like it. I imagine the garland will work too. Stink bugs suck the juice and stuff out of your plants. David said, you're going to make me line my fence with hanging CDs. Yep, it'll work. Mike said he wish he had room for a greenhouse. You got to make room, Mike. Grandmama Grove said the snow has ripped my greenhouse cover up. Yeah, it happens, Grandmama Groves. I'm sorry to hear that. It will. I've seen people they be turned over. Man, I tell everybody you gotta brace them. You gotta anchor them. I got one right outside my door. I buy an 18-inch stainless steel or galvanized steel anchor. Get them at Home Depot. And I drive them into the ground. And then my sons and son-in-law, they put the cement bricks all the way around the west side and the back and the front. The east side is backed up to a fence. So it's not going anywhere. The frame doesn't move. The cover just goes back and forth. City Girl Gardener, thank you for being here. And Grandmama Grows, you have to go out with a shovel or a rake or something inside the greenhouse and poke, poke, poke. And mine goes down on the steeple and make that snow slide off, or it would cause cracks inside of your greenhouse. It will insulate it and keep it warm, but it's not worth it. Then you have to put duct tape and all that stuff up there. So I understand. It will rip with the snow. So I bang it and get it off as soon as possible. I'm sure I did a video this year. I know I did, because I remember doing it and videotaping it. Okay, Lady Cheryl, I read 2 books before I bought mine. I know the hoop house, the plastic one, will be great in the summer, and the plexiglass spring in the fall. Very good, Cherie. I know you're the type of person that would study. In the garden, it says, what type of greenhouse do you recommend? And that's getting back to what Cherie just said. She said she read 2 books. You got to study and see how hot it gets in your garden zone. Now, I bought an expensive flower house, flower mound. I call it expensive because it was just a 10 by 10 by 7, and it was about like $700. Okay? The cover lasted 2 years and it just started deteriorating, cracking. Second greenhouse I bought it off of eBay. It was a no name, no brand name. And it was a 10 by 20 by 7. And it was the best decision I ever made. The only thing about it is it has a manufacturer flaw. The bolts stick up at the top and they should go down. So the plastic rubs against it. So I've put those little nylon, whatever you call them, those little noodles that you have in the swimming pool. I wrapped them up with that. I put duct tape. I took foam. I used pipe tape. It doesn't really matter because when the wind moves the frame, not the frame, the cover back and forth, it's just abrasive and you're going to get little tears. So I said I'll just buy a cover every year. But the frame itself is pretty good. It doesn't move because I have it anchored down and I have those cement blocks. And actually on the east side that's next to the privacy fence, I don't take the cover all the way off. I leave it clipped to the frame. And then when I put the cover back on, I bring it down as far as I can go. And I fold it up and I clip it. I leave it up against the privacy fence. That's the only area. If you look at my videos, you'll see some green cover, and it is part of the greenhouse. My plexiglass was under $200. Called a flash deal on Sam's Club regular $500. My plastic one is from Amazon. It was $139. Been up 1 full year through all the seasons and no wear. That's wonderful. Grandmama Grove said the frame ain't going nowhere though. That's right. And Regina Tyson says, lady, oh, she retracted it. Okay. Or somebody retracted it. So if you get you a good frame, if you get somebody that know what they're doing, I'm sure they can go in there and put plexiglass and put the air pressure windows. When it gets a certain temperature, the windows will raise up in the ceiling and, you know. But before the greenhouse, I used the PVC tunnels. You can get galvanized steel. I think they're 12 inches, or you can get 18 inches, and you beat them down in the ground. They're about an inch in circumference, and then you take the PVC and you just like bend it like that, and you stick each end in the galvanized steel anchor, and then you just put your cover on top of that. And I've did that for years. Regina Tyson, you need to email me if you want to get those hibiscus seeds. Email me tonight, cash out me tonight, and they'll go out in the morning. And LaDon Pritchard said, hello, she's late, but you're here now. And you can always watch the replay. Okay, guys, it's 8:44. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to end this live. This is my first series attempt to grow outside. I planted a plant or two in the past. This year, I'm doing 2 raised beds and 1 tall creature raised bed on legs and 10 grow bags. I'm excited. And you should be, Mike. That's really great. So find my email address, everybody. Find my email address. If you want some seeds, send them to me. Deborah Johnson, once again, thanks for telling me about the garland. If I have an issue with that, I'm going to use some of that. I have tomatoes growing now over 90 degrees. The tomatoes won't flower to get tomatoes. Too hot. I missed that love notes. Yeah, that's it. If it gets 90 degrees, you can forget it. Unless you want to keep putting them in the shade, putting a fan out there, whatever. It's just too much work. Like I say, especially since I've been blessed to learn how to grow in the greenhouse all year long, I don't be fighting that 100-degree weather. I just won't do it. It's just, I'm too old for that. Okay. I'm just going back and making sure. Oh, yeah. David Corey talking about 8A knocks over your corn. Yes, it will. Okay. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. Okay. You guys have a wonderful week. I will see you back here next week. Same time, same station. Know that if you want to be in the dehydrating lecture class, explanation, question and answer coming this Sunday, make sure you email me if you're in the groups. Eat your own. And that way, you know, we can get you the code and get you in the class. That is so pretty. Look how shiny that is. Look how pretty that pepper is. It's when you know you got healthy food. When you see a natural sheen on it. So pretty. Check out that tomato. That tomato is going to be blood red. I don't leave tomatoes out in the greenhouse and just tempt squirrels and possums or whatever to come and get them. I harvest them a little early. And by the way, tomatoes is one of the few fruits that you can harvest before it's all the way ripe. It will continue to ripe on the vine and will not lose any sweetness. Love you guys. God loves you too.